Peter, we can get into it and talk like for about 4 hours. I think 4 hour.
This is the culmination of all the work on the fourth way.
Yeah.
This is not a simple subject. In a way, it's very simple. Seen from the perspective of pure consciousness, it's actually very simple. But seen from a psychological point of view and emotional, intellectual, instinctive, and all of these things going on in our life, it seems like a complicated puzzle that we have to solve. And so it's a big topic. But it seems that something's happening for you that is it's good. It's producing a positive, not a negative result in you, and in your energy you feel more light, more loving. That sounds, all of those things characterizes, to me, in my experience, as aspects of transformation or transmutation. The reason I asked you about consciousness is because ultimately it would mean that consciousness is what transforms and transcends and transmutes. It's not the human being, the person. To a certain extent, that is what happens. But in my experience, and also in my experience, I would say that love, what I think of as love, I think in the way you're meaning it, comes as a result of transformation, of conscious transformation. It is not a means to transform something. Because otherwise that means it's just me, my emotional center, trying to conjure love or trying to sort of create an atmosphere of love that will somehow bring transformation about. I think that can help, but ultimately transformation is beyond even that. And then what I say, to me, love, what I experience as love, is conscious love is a result. It's actually a side effect of being more conscious, being more awake. Because the more you see, the more remarkable the world is, everything is really. And then what that does is that evokes deep emotion in the emotional center. You can call that love, but you can also call the pure perception that it came from, that it is reflecting. That's true love, which is consciousness, awareness.
Yeah.
I want to read those. Thank you, Peter. Nice to have you. I'll read from your book. But this is actually a quote from Uspensky that Peter quoted. Yeah, I mean, also there's this idea that like a regular person will encounter suffering as a big problem, and there's something that I don't want, I don't accept it, it's about me, it's not right, and then I resist it. And then this becomes like double now. There is double suffering, and it's that this can take on for a long time. So for somebody on the path, it's like, hey, this is actually going to help me out. I mean, it's hard. It's not so easy. It's so easy to say it like that, you know, but it's actually, this is here to purify me. And to Rumi would say, suffering, conscious suffering, is like being washed by gods. Yeah. So Gurdjieff was saying that everybody's working hard, you know, like from the Bible, it said, you are going to work from the sweat of your brow. And, you know, the Cain and Abel were kicked out, and God said, you're going to work hard, bro. And anyway, so we all know that, so all humanity in sleep is suffering and toiling. Everybody does that. But Gurdjieff was saying that what we need to do is intentional, like conscious suffering and conscious toiling, you know, so which way we grow, you know. So we basically part of, there are many, I guess we can talk another time, what are the many obstacles towards transforming suffering, you know, that's more practical. And best we have to change our attitude towards it. Anyway, so the quote was from Uspensky: suffering becomes deliberate if you don't rebel against it, if you don't try to avoid it, if you don't accuse anybody, if you accept it as a necessary part of your work at the moment, and as a means for attaining your aim. Yeah. I'll say it again, and I have one more from Marcus Aurelius, which is very interesting. So I'll say this again. Suffering becomes deliberate if you don't rebel against it, if you don't try to avoid it, if you don't accuse anybody, if you accept it as a necessary part of your work at the moment and as a means for attaining your aim. This is just reading this is like, because from the selfing, it's like my relationship. It's like, oh man, why do I have this? Why can't I just have a good thing? What's wrong? You know what I mean? But now look at this, when I have an attack of like these content eyes, and like it would be much better, more. And Marcus Aurelius said this idea that, okay, when the fire is strong, it soon appropriates to itself the matter which is heaped on it and consumes it and rises higher by means of this very material. So they say the flame is small, you put some stuff on it, it's going to pull it out. It's going to, like when we are half asleep, you get some suffering, then you are now really asleep and suffering. But if, that's the thing, we can't learn how to swim when we are thrown overboard in a hurricane. So we need to do our laps in the swimming pool first, So, but when the consciousness is stronger, when the, our
fire of love.
Yeah, the fire of love but this kind of witnessing, there's like practice of witnessing, and our chops are stronger than all of the shit that happens. Actually, it enhances the flame, if we remember, and it's not so easy.
I call it the fire of love, the truth. And when he says, fire is strong, that's the association.
Yeah.
With love.
Fire of love, the truth.
I think too, Mihai, in that analogy of the fire, just occurred to me, we might say that the negative emotions are like kindling.
Yeah.
And if we can get the fire going with the kindling by transforming them, not identifying with our negative emotions and the sense of I in our negative emotions, now the fire is starting to burn. Now you can put bigger logs on there